I fondly call her CSO. If you've ever heard of the name CSO, you know that this is the person I'm talking about. She's a radiographer licensed by RRBN. That is the Radiography Fee Registration Board in Nigeria, and also licensed with CAMRT. That is the Radiography Certification Board in Canada. She's the founder of CSO Mentorship Program, which is where I belong. I've been a mentor throughout this year, and she has been able to impact me in the most beautiful ways. She's a radiography clinical and academic tutor, and she graduated as the best in PGCT in 2023 and was awarded as the best graduating student in MRI and ultrasound in 2021. She's also the former NAS National Vice President from 2021 to 2023. So from our portfolio, we know that the person that is going to speak to us today, she has experience with being a radiography student in class, a radiography student in clinical practice, a radiography student in our extracurricular activities, and even in politics. So please, let's stay tuned and we listen to her and everything she's going to share with us. Thank you very much. Please, over to you, Ma. Thank you for being here. We are very grateful to have you.
Thank you so much, Janet. I am very happy to be here as well. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Chisom Sandra Ohuabunwa, and I'm going to be the first speaker today. And like Janet already said, I'm going to be doing more on academic goal setting and extracurricular activities in school. So what I'd like to say is when I was preparing to give this presentation, I thought about something that really changed my life and the turning point in my life. So I'm going to speak more on the things I wish I knew when I gained admission into the university, things I wish I knew far back as 2014. So I'm going to start with asking everybody here one question. And the first question I'm going to ask is, I'm going to want you to ask yourself is, what do I really want to do with my life? I want you to sit back and ask yourself, what do I really want to do with my life? It's one life we're actually here to live. Eventually, we're all going to die, and at some point, you're going to be forgotten. So the probability of you being forgotten or remembered is dependent on how you choose to live this life. I know if I ask most students in radiography, all they will say is, oh, I want to just graduate. There's nothing special in being a graduate at the moment. I'm going to be factual, and I'm going to be realistic. There's nothing special in this modern Gen Alpha, Gen Z period about being a graduate. I'm not saying do not get your degree. Please, by all means, get your degree. But anyone can have a degree. Even the most foolish of people have a degree. Even those who are driving cabs and pushing wheelbarrows, they all have a degree. So what makes you different from them if they all have a degree and all they wanted to just do in school is just to graduate? I would say one thing. There is no successful man, either in any planet, that has been able to get to wherever he or she is at the moment without making goals and without planning for their future. Success is goals and everything else is commentary. Everything else you think you know about being successful is by the side. The most important thing about being successful is in setting your goals. All people that have made it in life, both Elon Musk and Dangote, he didn't just wake up and say, "Oh, I'm going to buy Twitter." It was a planned process. It was it was it was thought out, and then the whole planning process was made to be wherever he wanted to be. And I'd like to say this to everybody: you have more potentials than you actually realize you do. That is, you have more potentials in you than you could use, even if you lived over 100 times or over 100 lifetimes. Many of us just live basic lives, and we do not even get to even use about 0.001 of our potentials. I'm saying this because I once lived below my potentials, and I was, I would like to say, oh, I was like an eagle who did not realize she actually had wings and she could fly. I lived a very average life. Without goals, you simply drift and float on the currents of life. Without goals, you'll be among those saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonades. And I'm here to tell you that lemons are not naturally occurring plants. So thus, life cannot give you lemons. With goals, you are like a laser. With goals, you fly like an arrow. With goals, you are direction oriented. You have to think about creating your own world. Anybody can do what you're doing. And I'm saying this because I'm talking about creating your own world, because there's definitely no traffic in the extra mile. You know, people who have done things that are, or that were seen to be extraordinary, they put in an extra bit of effort. And I once listened to one of the players describe Ronaldo, and he said before anyone got to the pitch, he was already there like an hour or 30 minutes before, and usually the last to leave. He put in extra hours of work in training himself. For you to do something different with your life, you cannot be at the same pace with everybody, where it is cloudy and clumsy, where everybody wants to be in one muddy ground. When you decide to go the extra mile, there's no traffic there. You just fly and soar. You just see that the only traffic you ever get to encounter is when you are, you know, playing in the mud with people that want to be mediocre in their whole life. So, having said all this, I would just like to point out that the starting point of goal setting is desire. I was thinking about presenting all this, and I just didn't want to go into talking about setting goals. I want you to realize that there are things that come prior to even thinking about setting goals, and that is desire. I had one student come up to me. She said she wanted to start the Canadian process, and I asked her why, and she didn't know what to say. I asked her why you not doing other countries? Why do you want to do this? Why I asked that question? At the end of the day, and when things get tough, it is that desire and passion that you have for what you are doing that keeps the fuel burning. If you start to do things because everybody is doing it, along the way you drop it, along the way it's just feel like every other project that you abandoned. And the good thing is that almost anything that you want bad enough, you can achieve. I'm a living example of that. I don't say things are not practical. Like whenever I say things like this, I have more than 10 experiences to back it up. Is anything you set your mind to achieve and you work hard towards it, that you're going to achieve. You know, Graham Bell, the man who discovered or who designed the phones we use today, or the initial phones that was used back then, you know, he 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 made a comment. He said, a man, as a general rule, has very little to what he is born with. A man is what he makes himself. If you're born with talent, desires, talent, and and abilities and whatnot, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you are really what you make yourself. You know, I'm not saying that others do not have soft beginnings, but talk about those who came from nothing. Should they have said, "Oh, I came from nothing," and then remain in nothing? Well, whatever you are now, whatever you wherever you are at the moment, is what you have done for yourself. If you're flunking in your grades, it's because you've not worked hard enough. If you are what's the word? If you're not doing so well in any area of your life, is because you made yourself that way. And it's really up to you to do better for yourself. It's up to you to decide and want to change your life. That desire to aspire for more things, and to believe that you are created, or you were born to not just be an average person. And one thing I'll say is, no matter how much I will talk today, there's some persons that are still very comfortable being average. They are very comfortable in their comfort zone. Whatever I say tonight will not change you if you not this if you've not thought about what you really desire. So one of the turning points in my life was, I think, in 2017. It was when I realized that there was no one coming to save me. You know, I had grown up with parents that did things for me, and I was a bright student. You know, don't be mistaken. I was bright. I did very well. I was top of my class while I was secondary school. Even when I came out of university, everybody knew me. I was good. I was good, and just good enough as the way I thought I was. But at some point, I had to sit myself down. People only think, oh, yes, she's good. But then within me and myself, I knew that I was not even putting in the effort. The results they were just seeing is something I would call the basic, like the most basic of me. And to others, it was amazing. But to me, I wasn't doing anything. And I'll tell you an example. Like, there were some exams I walked into the exam hall without even reading the course. I knew, highest, I would not fail this course because there's no way I would literally fail it. But then there's one more important thing is, I would not have an A. I knew I'll pass, but I would not have an A. And I was believing that that was the best I could do, until I realized I was just more like I was wasting away. So the moment you realize that the life you want to live, all you desire, and the future you want to create for yourself is up to you. No one else, not your parents, no, nobody else, not even God. I'm going to be honest. God can only come in when you are doing something for yourself. And I'll give you an example. I'm not trying to be religious, but I'm going to give you an example. Take, for instance, Elijah and the widow, right? I think the woman that had a son, and they had just had their last meal, and they shared it with Elijah and the Bible, and they were saying, "Oh, after this meal, we're going to die." And he said to them, "What do you have in the house? Bring it." I'm saying this because even if you are praying that, oh, God should help you, He can only help you from the resources you have within, not anywhere else. Have you ever considered, if you do not have those jars of oil, what was the prophet going to multiply? Eh? You have to have something in your hand for you to progress in life, no matter how little you think it is. I would go ahead and start and say give us like 5 tools that are very important in goal setting. I call it SMART. I read this from one of Brian Tracy's books, which I adopted in 2018. The first one is be specific. I always recommend 3 things first before this side. I always recommend to write down your goals. If you can write it down, those things you really want, if you can write them down, then they begin to make more sense. I once met this lady in my posting, and she would always talk about all the brilliant things she wants to do. But I kid you not, if I asked her to write it down, she wouldn't have been able to pen down a single sentence. She was talking, and to her it sounded so fantastic, but to me it was sounding gibberish, and I knew that the minute I gave her a pen to pen it down, she would probably give me a blank paper. And I'm telling you, because years afterwards, everything she talked about, nothing has been done. I'm giving it like 4 years afterwards, or 5 years afterwards, and everything she spoke about, zero has been done. So I'll say write down your goals, plan, and monitor your success or track your goals. Now, the first thing is, when writing down your goals, you have to define it. There has to be details in it. You have to be more specific. For example, say, I'll use me as an example. When I used to write goals, I used to write them down every morning. I used to say, oh, I want to graduate to be at the top 10 in my class. Then, now, the first thing is, okay, I want this. The next thing is the details in how I'm going to achieve it, things I need to do to achieve this. And there came in having a timetable, a schedule, a consistent routine, hours that I need to put in to read, and regardless, I must clock daily. There came in targets I need to accomplish. For example, I would say, I used to tell myself before exam, I would go through every single handout, course, name it, at least 3 times. And sometimes I did it even 4 times or 5 times over. If we had gross, I would run through the textbook or the scheme of work for that semester 3 to 4 times. If we had radiography biology, the same thing. I was consistent in my details and in the goals I was defining for myself. The next thing in the SMART is to have measurable goals, track your goals, and then to keep reviewing it. So I did this same thing also, where I used to write down my 5-year goal plan, right? I used to have short and long-term plans or goals. I recommend that. There's something called daily goal setting, short-term goal setting, and long-term goal settings. They are not the same thing. So regardless, I had daily to-do list and everything. Every single morning, I had to review my long-term goals. I rewrote them down every single morning. And I'll do this by not even looking at the one I wrote the previous day. That way, the things you want, they become clearer in your head. It's not just going to be some vague shaft spinning around in your brain. If you cannot write it out the same way, it doesn't have to be in the same order. If you cannot write it out consistently, then it's not you're yet to define those goals. And I was doing this so that whatever I was doing in the short term or in my daily to-do list was going to take me at least one step closer to achieving those long-term goals. Now, I'll say this: if you want to be somewhere in the future and whatever you're doing today does not tally or contribute to that long-term goal, you're wasting your time. And I'll come back to this. The third item is to set goals that are attainable. Now, when I say set goals that are attainable, I'm not saying set half goals. I'm not saying set basic goals. I'm saying be true to yourself and be realistic with the goals you want. Being realistic does not mean that you have to be basic. Does not mean you can say, oh, I cannot do this. No, there's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing I cannot do at the moment. If I say I can do this, it's a matter of time and resources. Some will even say you are whatever. I think that's the mental law. It's a mental law. The mental law states that whatever you believe you are, or whatever you convince yourself you are, that is what you are. If you convince yourself that today that you are very useless, yeah, that is exactly what you're going to be. For a long time, I spent some time convincing myself that some lecturers won't just give you an A. And that is a lie because I've proved them wrong. I hear students say, no matter whatever you write, he won't give you an A. Write it and see if he doesn't give you that A. When people would tell me in my school that getting an A in Reynolds was impossible, I did it. I'm not saying in the 70s, in the 80s, like over 80. When they'll tell you it's impossible to get A's in your head and neck, I did it above 80. Set challenges for yourself. I'm not saying because someone says you can't do it. No, you can. I mean, that could also be a motivating stuff for you, but let it be what you want. And stop listening to people who will always seem to truncate any idea you come up with. Dissociate yourself from them. Begin to make. One thing about goal setting is also making relevant acquaintances. People that are already where you want to be. Those are the ones that should be your friends. If you're friends with anybody that's not heading anywhere, or that is somewhat beneath you, you have no business being there. And that's the hard truth, because they either bring you down or keep you where you are. Because in that moment, each time you begin to feel bad about yourself, you say, after all, I'm better off than her. How about saying, oh, look at him, he's better off than me, I need to aspire to be at that level. The first item in the SMART list is setting relevant goals. Like I already said, your goals are relevant. Your short-term goals are relevant if they are going to take you where your long-term goals want you to be. Take, for example, when I was deciding I wanted to write my CAMRAT exam, that's my Canadian licensing exam, I had short-term goals. So at that point, I already had about 65 CPDs, online courses, or 63. I'm one of these two. I lost count at that moment. So I set short-term goals after going through this scheme of work. I set short-term goals, and I created an extra list of online trainings I needed to do. Whatever training in that moment that was appealing but would not contribute to my writing that exam was irrelevant. Something you call irrelevant might not necessarily be irrelevant, but if it does not take you where you're going, then it is irrelevant. You want to be at the top of your class, but you're not reading. and instead you are doing other things, like you are more into politics than you reading your books, at that moment, it's irrelevant. Okay, you want to be at the top of your class, but then you are sleeping till 7 o'clock. You're wasting your time. The last item on the list is time bound. Now, one very important thing, like you cannot do without it whenever you're setting goals, is setting time frames to which each goal must be achieved. Because it's very easy to write, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. And then in 2 years, you're still saying, I want to be this, I want to be. But if you had set time bound goals, I always use me as an example. I said, oh, by May, I've done this. By June or quarter of the year, I've done this. By November, I've achieved this. And if November comes and I have not achieved it, that is by tracking my goals and success. I know that yes, that this is either a failure on my part or a nonchalance on my part. That is how to know if you are really meeting up to your own expectations, not other people what they expect. No, in setting goals, there are certain things you expect from you, not others. When you set goals, it's all about you, about making your life better, about being and creating the confident person you want. Now, I'll tell you one beautiful thing I realized about setting goals and, you know, making a plan. With each goal I achieved, in my head, I became much more successful. My confidence was over the roof. My self-esteem was at its peak. I think you should try it. Just saying this makes it feel like I'm explaining words, but if you've ever had any goal you set for yourself and you've achieved, the feeling is so beautiful. And when you think about how it feels, you begin to make more goals, avoid procrastinating. So that's about the goals. Smart. Be specific. Set goals that you can measure. Set goals that are attainable. Set relevant goals and set time-bound goals that have deadlines. Now, I'm going to ask us questions at this point and things I do regularly. Imagine in the next 5 years, your life was perfect. Imagine in the next 5 years, the most perfect life you could ever dream of. When you imagine this, ask yourself these questions. What would this perfect life look like? What would I be doing? What's in my perfect life, in my dream life or future, what will I be doing? Where will I be doing it? At what level of responsibility? And what skills and abilities would I have at that moment? What kind of goals would I be able to accomplish? And lastly, what will be the level of my status in my field? For example, I'm going to talk about myself and the goals I set 5 years ago. I'm going to answer it. So this is 2024. 5 years ago would be 2019/2020. So what would my life look like? At this point, I would say currently I planned to practice in Canada. I've gotten the license. I've gotten the job. Where will I be doing it? I'm going to be doing it in a dream country, Canada. At what level of responsibility? Grade 8. What skills and abilities will I have? Certain skills that pertain to patient care, mentoring, and being a specialist in my field. What kind of goals would you be able to accomplish? It's public speaking like this, being able to talk to younger and fresher minds and let them feel that things and anything that they want to do is possible. Starting my own mentorship program. And by next year, I definitely have other programs to launch. So, what is the level of status in my field at the moment? Now, with my level of experience as a radiographer, I'm exactly where I need to be. Grade 8, level 3. So, ask yourself this same question, and if whatever you're doing now cannot make you answer this question in the next 5 years, you're doing the wrong things. I know that as students, it's not always going to be so rosy. I had challenges. I had so many challenges as a student. I know I might be selling a very glamorous dream, but it always was not like this. It wasn't always this fantastic. Even at the moment as I'm talking to you, it's not always fantastic because there are always going challenges and hurdles to cross and the likes. But in this moment, what makes you different from the average person is your ability to collect yourself. I've had times where I know people don't believe this when I say it, and I stopped telling people because if they wouldn't believe me, then what's the point of saying it? I had major exam crash outs, like not because I wasn't reading, but because I was anxious and um like a pre-exam anxiety thing. So you could see me walk into an exam hall and place my head down, and you think, oh, just finish reading. I'm trying to collect myself from wide and far. You need to learn to collect. You need to learn to control your emotions. Talk of goal setting, controlling your emotions, avoiding negative people, avoiding people who are always too quick to give an opinion. If people really paid for opinions, you'll be surprised that no one would want to give it. And because it's very simple and it's too easy, everybody has something to say about what you're doing and what you're not doing. Learn to filter out the background noise. It's important if you're going to get somewhere. Do you think Elon Musk has not received a lot of backlash? I'm going too far. Let's For the guys that are here, see the way they troll Messi and Ronaldo at this moment. Does it mean they're not doing their best? Do any other player work harder than them? I don't think so. So in order to collect yourself, the first thing to do is to identify major worries. So I'll use me again as an example. When you get so busy like I used to be then in school, someone will say, or people will describe me to be everywhere in their own definition. Yes, their own definition, because to me, that wasn't my own definition. To me, I was passing through the university and I was letting it pass through me. I was creating memories and I was creating the life I wanted. And that's all that mattered to me in that moment. So sometimes it could feel like I wasn't doing enough in my academics and so on. But one thing I realized is when you're having major crash outs, you might not even realize what the actual problem is. And for those that have mood swings, this is also pertaining to you too. Sit down, identify your problems or your worries by writing them out. When it comes to writing them out, it's only when you can now see that sometimes you don't even have any problem. You're just being moody and irritable. Sometimes you would see that, oh, what felt like a million problems was just like two problems. Try try filtering out the noise in your mind by writing it out. And then not just writing it out, writing out solutions to what these problems, like writing out solutions that would enable you to solve these problems, and devising the most effective way or the fastest way to solve them. I implore you all to try this. It works. Then now for those of us who are in school that only focus on just reading and reading, I'll tell you, the real world out there is not just about your degree and your grade. It also encompasses your social abilities. When you sit for interviews, the things they want to know is how well you can relate to people, how well can you commandeer a team. Have you led before? How many times have you worked in a team? And these are the small, small things that you could do in school. You can say, oh, I was once in the dinner night committee. It means you were able to work with a team of people to accomplish what your dinner night setting. I know it might sound so little while you're in school, but in the real world, these things, they matter a lot. For example, if I'm going to be interviewed now tomorrow for a leadership position and they ask me, ever held leadership positions? Yes. I'll say yes several times. I was NAS vice president, and I can go on to list others that I held even before I became NAS vice president. I can also say, oh, I also lead and organize my own mentorship program. Skills like organization, leadership, communication, they are much more important than you think they are. Organization, communication, leadership, working in a team, they're very important. I encourage you to do or to engage in extracurricular activities that encompass these few things. I'm not saying you should overwhelm yourself with activities in school. No. Do a fewer tasks, but then make them of high quality. I don't know if you've heard about the 80-20% rule, where it states that 20% of what you do accounts for 80% of what you achieve. Check it and see it. Because I once had a student I was mentoring, I think from my school. I told her, engage in these activities. I'm not saying go and carry it on your head. No. Pick a few important ones. It's not as if I couldn't have run for president or anything. Pick a few relevant ones that enable you to find the time and balance that you need to study. For example, my first position was my 200 level. I was a financial secretary to the electoral body. We only met like once in a blue moon. And I kept the notes and made a few expenses. After the election period in the school, my office is over. That's how easy it is. But it goes in my record. I have a record that I have led an electoral committee where I have shown good communication skills, good leadership skills, good teamwork skills, and so on. I've shown a social coexisting ability. Those of us that work in the hospital, not everyone trained where you trained. They all have different ways of doing whatever they do that makes them a radiographer. And you find that the hardest thing to do is not even seeing your patients. The hardest thing that you have to do is learning to coexist with your fellow workers in the hospital place. So now that brings me down to the three key performances that makes you to be at your peak: commitment, completion, and closure. You need to commit to your goals such that every other thing that you're doing that does not lead you to your goals is irrelevant. You need to learn to complete your goals. Leaving goals and leaving activities incomplete, that unfinished, is what leads to a high level of stress. I'm using me as an example. Whenever I have tasks that I have not completed, for example, this webinar, I couldn't wait for it to come. I was restless. I was stressed because it's, to me, it's something that I've already committed to doing, and I hadn't done it. I was restless. So I'm happy I'm doing it at this point, so that in the next few minutes I will have closure. Now that brings me to the next very important item, and we'll round up. I spoke about daily goals. Daily goals are the things you do every single day, no matter how small they are. For example, when I used to be in my 400 level, that was when I started doing online courses. And before my internship, I had like about 70 of them. So see the time frame, less than 2 years. And like they'll always tell you, it's little drops of water that make a mighty ocean, right? Those little things that you do on a daily basis are what makes you or mars you, basically. So every morning, you do not leave that bed, either as a student or a postgraduate person. You do not leave that bed, or a night before, you do not go to sleep if you've not made a list of everything you think you're supposed to do. It will save you a lot of stress and forgetfulness, and it will help you to manage your time. See, being a student, there are very important things. Time management is one of it, or if not the most important of it. Make a list, organize them by priority. For example, when I used to be in school, I used to make a list of things I have to do. For example, even down to calling my parents, I make a list. It's in my to-do list. So when it now comes down to arranging them by priority, and I have something like go for posting or wash my clothes, of course my priority is to go to that posting. I can always wash it tomorrow. How do you know things that are of a higher priority? There are things that if you don't do when you're supposed to do them, they have larger or more significant consequences. Do you understand? There are things that if you don't do, they have real life implications. For example, doing my assignment or going to play football I played football in school as well. So, for example, doing my assignment or going to play football in the pitch. The answer is obvious. Okay? And then it has to have a sequence so that you're not burnt out, so that you don't lose energy trying to run from point A to point C when you could have gone from point A to point B and then to point C. Number 4, determine the time and resources required for everything you need to do for the day, so that you can know the ones that are attainable on that day and the ones that are not attainable. Then number 5 is to revisit and revise your plans. See, it's very okay to revise your plans if you see it's not coming to fruition. Okay, I'm not saying be rigid on your plans. If you see that it's not working out, fine, it's okay to, for example, myself, about 8 things I had to do today. I know I canceled one of it. That's just me revising my plans. I couldn't do it today, fine, tomorrow. I'm not saying procrastinate. The item I had to push to do next time has no implication, either today or tomorrow. And even if I don't even do it next week, it has no implication. Like I already said, the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do accounts for 80% of the value of all your activities. if you have 10 things to do that day, only 2 out of those 10 have real consequences. And this is how I used to organize my daily plans. I use the alphabet method, A, B, C, D. The ones of high priority, I mark them A. The ones of, a medium priority, I rank them B. Then the ones of lesser priority, C. As the list goes, C, D, E. Sometimes D. Sometimes I have an E. The ones that I don't do them or not. Do you understand? So create time for yourself. I already said, people will say, she's everywhere, she's everywhere. What they fail to understand is I was an evolved person who had created time for myself. I had time to be I was in 2 fellowships, SUCF and Castle. I think Castle. So I had times when I go for them, and I think I was also in a deeper life fellowship. I had times where I used to go for the praying grounds meeting and the fellowships and then the Bible lessons. I had time for it. Whenever I came to our dinner, our week for, our health week, I had time for everything. When it came to playing football, I had time for it. When it comes to doing my hair, because people that knew me in school then, I wore makeup to school almost every day. People wonder, how early did you get up to, do your makeup and still be in class early? I had time for myself and for the things that mattered. How you create time is by having a consistent timetable you follow every day. So my timetable used to even encompass the number of minutes I used to take my bath, the number of minutes it takes me to lay my bed, the number of hours I have to read every morning. And if I knew, we have football at 4 p.m. today, and I was supposed to be reading by 4 p.m., it's easy. Instead of me reading 2 hours in the morning, I will read 4 hours in the morning to compensate for the time I'm going to be doing an extracurricular activity. That's how you make it in school. Okay? I had political meetings, online meetings. NAS is doing this. NAS is traveling to Calabar to do this. I compensated. It's either I pre-read before I make those trips, or when I come back, I focus on reading and give in double the time. And one way to create time for yourself is to wake up earlier than everybody does. When I had exams or not, I was up by 3 a.m. every morning. Sometimes 1 in the morning reading. And people will ask me, the exam is not closed now. That's the way they thought. And that's why they would say, she's everywhere, because no one really understood the beauty of what made me who I was. I woke up earlier, although I did sleep earlier, And the fact that is the most important things in your life requires time and focus. So I chose the early hours in the morning because by that time you would have slept. When you're waking up, your brain is fresh. You seldom have worries in your mind. For those of us that overthink, the noise in our minds it's much more quiet. It's quieter in the morning time. Everybody has gone to sleep. By 3 in the morning, hardly anybody's awake. Check it and see. That's when people are really deep in. Even those people that watch TV all night, by at most 1:30 a.m. they've gone to sleep. You understand? So organize your list, ABCDE method, separate urgent from non-urgent. And you need 3 characters to succeed. This is the last part. I know my time is a few minutes past spent. You need 3 characters to succeed as a student, as a graduate, wherever you are in life. I didn't want to make this a radiography-based focus. I needed to teach you the importance of setting goals for yourself. See, if you don't set goals for yourself, you're just planning to fail. And if you doubt me, I'll not say, I'm not trying to, speak bad words, but if you doubt what I'm saying today, do a review or a track of your life in the next 3 years as someone that had goals and plans for themselves. So back to the characters you need to succeed. The first one is discipline. What is discipline? Discipline is delaying self-gratification. I struggled a lot. There are times I wake up in the morning and I would, in fact, the sleep is better in the morning. Everybody knows that. But the discipline to get up when others are sleeping is what makes you a better person than them. Is what would give you those results you need to see. And people will ask, oh, when did she do this? When did he do this? Discipline when I'm supposed to be watching a movie that is just released, when I'm meant to be slaying my head and relaxing, or when I get back from school and I'm really tired and I want to just rest. I had a rule then after each lecture, no matter any time that my class is closed, I have only 30 minutes to rest. And in that 30 minutes, I would find a way to eat my dinner and whatever I have to do, and I'll be back to school. And of which I would not leave the school premises until 9 p.m. Sometimes by 8:30, I'm worn out. But I do not leave that seat until it's 9 o'clock. That is discipline. Second one is consistency. Some might call it being persistent. Consistency is discipline in action. Getting up and doing the same thing every single day. Getting up and reading 5 hours every single day. Getting up and investing in yourself to be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. Doing it even when the results are coming in trickles, with the hope that the little drops of water will fill a mighty ocean, or will create a mighty ocean tomorrow. And the last one is hard work. And I'll tell you, all these three characters you need to imbibe, they all go in tandem. None is mutually exclusive. They're all mutually dependent. If you work hard without being consistent, you're wasting your time, because you will work hard and put your energy in the wrong places at the wrong time. But with consistency may not always be being at your 100% every day. No, I'll be honest with you. There were times, even when I was supposed to read 5 hours a day, I did 4 hours a day. But the main thing is, I was consistent that every single day I will become better than whoever I was yesterday. So that I don't find myself doing what other people are doing and then they are struggling during the exam period to cover 11 courses. And I'll tell you how this has saved me a whole lot. I recall the morning of my exam for Reynolds. I was so sick. But I went in there, I still wrote that exam, and I scored above 80. Now imagine I was waiting to read during my dying minutes and I fell ill. I would somehow in my head make up excuses. Oh, because I was sick, I couldn't read. No, we all know that if I was going to pass that exam, whatever I read a week to that exam does not matter. It's what you've read in the months when people were playing and relaxing that actually matters, not what you read 2 weeks to your exam that matters. Consistency is the measure of your character, of your true character. What you find yourself consistently doing is who you are. And if you don't like that person, then all you have to do is change. And I'll end this talk by saying, it is not where you start that is the problem. It is how you finish. I didn't start so well. I'm going to be honest, I didn't start so well, but I can boldly say I finished excellently. I finished well. At the end of the day, I could look in the mirror and I was happy with the woman I was looking at. At the end of the day, all that matters is when you look at yourself, are you happy with yourself? Are you happy with what you've accomplished? And if you are happy with whether you're small or big success, that's up to you. So ask yourself one more time today, what do I really want to do with my life? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much. My book is filled because there are a lot of new things that I have learned from you. And I'm very grateful that you took out this time to come and educate us. So please, let's use the reaction icon and tell her thank you. And then if you have any question, you can send it into the chat box so that she can attend to them. Any question that you may have at the moment, any question related to what she said, any question you think she's going to be able to help you answer, please, yeah, let's use the chat box and ask our questions. So I'll just give us 2 minutes for us to type in the questions, then we can go on to answering them. But if there's no question, we'll move to the second speaker.
So I'll say if no questions, okay. Thank you so much, everyone that joined here today. I'm so happy to see that at least a good number of you turned out or turned up for this webinar. So I'd like to say, if no questions in 2 minutes, I would not like to keep the second speaker waiting, being that I've exceeded my time limit. So in 2 minutes, so less. If you have no questions, thank you so much, my chief. And thank you, Janice, for this platform and this opportunity.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ma. Thank you for taking out time to come and speak to us today. So we are going to move to the second part. We are going to move to the second speaker now. So our second speaker is known as TC, or Amebo radiographer. So if you are part of the Amebo radiographer community, you will know him. So his name is Tochukwu, and he's a passionate health care professional with a strong background in medical radiography and radiological science. He's the founder of two impactful communities. I'm a boy radiographer corner that most of us know him for, and young healthcare professionals community. Is dedicated to fostering excellence and innovation in healthcare. Driven by a vision of healthcare rooted in excellence, empathy, and innovation, Tochukwu focuses on improving healthcare delivery, leveraging technology to solve modern challenges, and advocating for mental health and financial intelligence. He welcomes opportunities to connect, collaborate, and drive meaningful change in healthcare. So, if there's one thing that our next speaker is particular about, is making sure that is present in different aspects of healthcare to show that there's something that as radiographers we have to offer in different situations. That means whenever we are talking about, if we want to talk about planning, family planning, yes, we want to talk about cervical cancer, whatever area it is, it's always available to show that radiographers have a hand in that particular role. And today is going to talk to us about clinical goals, what you can do as a student for your clinicals. Because I think one most important thing about radiography is that it's okay to be in class, read, listen to what the lecturer is saying, write your notes, read for the exams. But there's also the clinical part, that there's an exam
Okay. Can anyone hear me? Or because I think my network. Okay. Okay, can I get more thumbs up if you can hear me, please? Okay, I stopped hearing Janet for a while and I thought, oh my God, my network is off. But yeah, I'm glad it's not. So, good day, everyone. Good day. I'm so excited to be here. I think this morning I woke up and then I remembered that we had this, and somehow I had this burst of excitement because so I am always excited talking to radiography students about how to be the best, basically in anything, not just in academic or clinical goals, whatever it is you would want to achieve. I'm particular about videography students because that's my background, nothing much. But yeah, CSO has already done a wonderful, tremendous job on this topic already that we have. So yeah, I wouldn't try to take much of my time. Okay, I'm hoping in 30 minutes I'll be done. In 30 minutes I should be done. So Jenny, please time me when it's 25 minutes. Let me know. So I will just round up whatever it is I'm doing. Yeah. All right. So who am I? Right. So I will run to just thank Janet for even inviting me to this program. So first off, most persons here know me as I'm a radiographer, right? And I'm a radiographer, of course, and then the team lead for the radiology team at Lilly Hospitals. Right? And just like Janet already said, I am the humble servant of both radiographer corner and young healthcare professionals community. And I'm big on advocating for growth, healthcare equity, and community building. And I'm very passionate about empowering young healthcare professionals, which includes radiography students and professionals too. Yeah, of course. So when I was working on my slides for today, my thoughts went in a lot of different directions. Even I already worked on both academic and clinical stuff. When I remembered Janet said it was basically clinical I was going to be talking about. So I had to start reducing the cutting down on the slides and removing some things. But yeah, I still left a few good things from both ends. So I'll be going academic, clinical, because both of them really, really connect. You can't talk about clinical without talking about academics, because for you to be good in clinical, you have to have good knowledge of the theoretical aspect so that you would know where to ask questions, where to the reason why you are doing what you're doing. Basically, clinicals, you become good with clinicals when you are involved in what is being done. But the problem is you could be good in clinicals and be a technician. So it is the theory that you know that backs you up as a radiographer. Because you could come, I could invite you to the radiology unit today and show you how to do an X-ray. Maybe do 2, 3, and then ask you to do it yourself. And before the end of the day, you will be able to know how to do a chest X-ray. But then if I ask you, why are we doing a PA projection instead of AP projection? That is what sets you apart from an X-ray technician and you being a radiographer. That is when you start talking English. You start expounding on, okay, this is why PA is important, because we are trying to protect some organs, and because the heart is closer, is more in front than it's behind, and you are giving me good reasons for that. That is what makes you a radiographer. Aside that, you are a technician if you do not know the reason why you are doing what you are doing. Right. So, but before I go into others, I would just want to take us on a journey to get to that part. Right. So let's get right into it. So I'm just going to breeze through this. I'm hoping that my slides are moving, right? Yes, it is. Okay. So why goals matter? Why do goals matter? So it's because goals give us a purpose. It gives you a sense of direction. One of the things that I heard CSO talk about was that she said while in school around 2017, before she came to the realization of being not just enough, but more than enough, going the extra mile, putting the extra, is when she realized that a lot of things changed. And it was first in the mind before the results were seen. She had a goal, and then the goal resulted in a journey. So goals give you a sense of direction, and gives you a sense of focus, helps you prioritize on things. Because if you say you want to have a first class while in school, it helps you know that at least you are supposed to be reading at least 3 hours every day on a weekday to be able to get a first class. At least that's one of the steps you should be taking, right? It helps you know that you are supposed to prioritize going to class, attending lectures. It helps you understand that if they put football and they put lectures on the same day, you are not going to go watch football, you are going to go to class. So, and it also opens door for opportunities, right? Because when you have a goal, let's say you want to be you have a goal of becoming a virtual assistant, or you have a goal of entering into tech, right? Because you have that goal, it's easy to identify opportunities and leverage on them. Let's say you are just scrolling to WhatsApp status, and then you bump from someone that posted a scholarship opportunity for people that are interested in tech, or a mentorship opportunity or stuff like that. It's easy for you to know that this is what I want and go for it. And when nothing is on your head, you're just going through life. I will use myself as an example, just like CSO did, right? In school, I didn't have a goal. Well, I wouldn't say I didn't have a goal. Well, when most of my friends, all my friends in school, all of them were first class materials. And it's only my school, I think it was only my set that we had five first class materials in radiography in my set. Right. And all of them were my friends. I was not amongst them. I was very close, but I was not among. And if someone asked me today, I thought they said if you see five wise people, the sixth person, if you are in their midst, the sixth person is. I would say yes, so, and I agree. Of course, I agree. But I would tell you that the reason why that did not happen for me was because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have an academic goal while I was in school. My plan for school academically was to pass the courses. And maybe CSO changed while in school. I changed after school. Because in school, I was a good student. I was a triangular student. But then I didn't have a goal, something to measure my goals to. Hell, I didn't even care what my GP was. What I cared was did I have A, B, C? And that was not smart. That was not a way of setting smart goals. Because at the end of the day, by the time I was calculating, I found out I had 4.42. That kind of GP, if you would say, if I was quite more intentional about it, should have been in first class. But then because I didn't have a goal and I didn't track it and I didn't do anything, I didn't measure it, I didn't do anything about it. When they are calling other people, at this time, I never really cared about first class. That's also another thing, because every other person, if they say first class, it never really bothered me. It was the day that they were calling my friends out as first class materials. That was when it dawned on me, CC, you could have been among these persons, but then you didn't have a smart goal. You didn't measure up. So, well, you are going to live with it. But yes, that day, I decided to do things a little bit differently than I used to do it. I started being smart with my goals, and I started setting goals, writing them down. And I will tell you there's a lot more difference from how I lived then compared to how I live now. You become more intentional about these things. So when it comes to clinical goals, why are you setting clinical goals? It's still the same thing with any other goal that you are setting. It gives you focus and direction, helps you track the progress, makes you more efficient, right? And it helps build foundations for your career success. Of course, when we are talking about academic and clinical, it's not just the only goals that you are supposed to have as a student, right? You have skill development goals, you have networking goals, you have personal goals, you have, as a radiographer like me, I have professional development goals, right? So when we are talking about these things, I do not want you to limit your mind to the fact that we're just talking about about clinical and academic. There are other things you're supposed to be doing. CSO talked about getting involved in extracurricular activities. That's the best thing you will do for yourself as a student. If you are only reading book in school, you are I don't want to say that you are a failure, but then that is not the only reason for school. The reason why you are going to college is to be literate. And when we are talking literate, we are not talking book wise, we are talking all round, being literate about life. That is why after you come out of school and you do some kind of things that maybe are absurd, your parents will look at you and like, I thought I paid your school fees. Because everybody expects that by the time you're coming out of school, you are not just coming out book wise, you are coming out wiser in the things of life. So while in school, those schools might not give you those formal education of how to build your skills. You are supposed to do it yourself. Put it as a goal. 2025 is coming now, and there are a lot of things that you're supposed to be working towards. I think it's in uni that you have a lot of time to explore a lot of things. Explore your business ideas. Explore your tech journey. Do a lot of things. Try visual assisting. It doesn't work. Try coding. It doesn't work. Try, because really that's the time that you have to do all this exploring, because after now you on your own, nobody is going to fund your lifestyle, but now you have family, friends funding your lifestyle. This is the time that you have to explore deep and wide. And this is also the time that your network also works for you, to build you up to your network, because it is the friends that you have around you now that you probably have, maybe you still have few of them in 2 years, 3 years time. And when you look around you, those are the persons that maybe when you need like £1 million to invest in something, they are the first persons you go to, and you are looking at these your friends and you are gauging them with the way they are living their life and with the way you are living your life. Do you think that as you are graduating from school in a year, 2 years, 3 years, that these persons are moving in a direction that you want to go to? So why I'm saying this is, while we are talking about academic and clinicals, you're also supposed to be thinking of other goals, right? So CSO talked about setting SMART goals, right? So, and I want to be more practical with that part of my slide, because I would want us to do an exercise by the time I'm done with this. So I want to give you instances where your goals are supposed to be SMART. So CSO already broke it down, explained what specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound is. But let me give you examples. All right, let's talk about, let's say that you want to, there is this course that you know in school. Let me use, for example, radiography physics, that you know that it's hard for you and you really want, it's the only course you know that would disturb your GP. So your goal now, let's say your goal is to have an A in physics exam. So how do you make it SMART? How do you make that goal SMART so that you are sure that you're going to achieve it? Let's say, okay, to make it specific, which is clearly defining what you want, you would say that I want to achieve a minimum of 80% or 70%, because that's what A is, 70% in radiography physics exam. So how do you make it measurable? By tracking your performance, probably in a bi-weekly quiz or assignments with your friends or with your reading partner or on your own. So that is how you track it. So by the time you've read in 2 weeks, you give yourself, you use your past questions of the same lecture that's teaching you that, to go through and see if this was an exam and this topic I read, I'm seeing the question in the exam hall, am I going to be able to answer it? So by the time you've read and you try measuring yourself through asking yourself questions and answering it, you're like, okay, I'm making progress. At least I'm reading and I'm understanding, right? That's a way of tracking. It's measurable. So, and sometimes it can also be frustrating because you might read and then they enter. So you are trying to measure. The first time you read, you did the quiz, you could not remember anything. Well, on my own, that's trying to you are trying to measure. So you go back and ask yourself, what are you doing wrong? Maybe your reading pattern is wrong, your study technique is wrong. And I've told a lot of radiography students the way we study is so absurd. Let me not go into that. But then I'm very open to helping you know how to study better. If that is what you want, we can talk about that later, but no, yes, let me just finish with what I have. Then, how do you make it achievable? How do you stay realistic but ambitious? Let's say I say, because I did my first quiz and I'm not doing so well, I would dedicate 2 hours daily to studying physics topic and review the past questions. So like this now, I'm not leaving it to chance. I'm trying to make it achievable. And then that 2 hours there, am I sure I'm going to be able to do 2 hours? Am I sure it's not 1 hour I can do? Can I do 2 hours? It's 2 hours possible. So stay realistic, but be ambitious. Then how do you make it relevant? How do you make it relevant? It's already relevant because it aligns with your radiography degree. So there is no need thinking about it twice. So how do you make it time bound? Let's say I need to achieve this goal by the end of the current semester, because that is when you would know whether you've achieved. But then you also have to put a time bound, because you know that exam is coming by end of the semester. So at least by revision week, you should know if you've achieved this goal, because putting a time to it helps you rate yourself too. So, okay, I want to give, when it comes to clinical goals, let me give another instance. Let's say I want to develop X-ray positioning skills. That is my goal. That's the goal I have in mind. So how do I make it specific? Let's say clearly define what you want. If I want to clearly define what I want to perform and assist in at least 20 chest X-rays during clinical posting. How do I make it measurable? I need to log each procedure in my clinical logbook for review. That's how I know this is what I've done. How do I make it achievable? I should be able to shadow senior radiographers to build confidence in positioning techniques. How is it relevant? Chest X-rays, right, are one of the most common radiographic procedures. So knowing how to do it already makes it relevant. The fact that it's the most common radiograph and it aligns with your profession, with your career. You can't say that you want to know how to fix tire. It has nothing to do with you. So how do you make it time bound? Complete these goals. Let's say you have 6 weeks of clinical posting. So you say, I want to complete this goal within 6 weeks of clinical posting. So you see how you've made it specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And we are going to do an exercise like surrounding this. You can use this to build even your personal goal as a radiographer, as a radiography student, that you want that by year 2023, which, okay, sorry, I'm going backwards. By year 2026, that you want to graduate with a first class, or let's say at least a 4.5 CGPA, from your current degree, right? So that's a big goal. You have to break it down to make it smart so that you can be able to achieve it. How do you make it specific? Maybe you would say, all right. So for this kind of goal, for someone that is looking to be an A student, how do you make it smart? I think this one I've asked, I'm going to leave it for our activity. I'm going to leave it for our activity. That's what we're going to use. One of the things we are going to use. So let me move on from here. So practical steps to set goals is to reflect on your current status. What's your strengths? What's your weakness? We all know, I believe we all know what is SWOT analysis is your strength, weakness, opportunity, analysis, right? And threat analysis. Sorry, I didn't say it. So visualize where you want to be by December 2025. CSO talked about 5 years goal, which is very beautiful, and I expect every one of us after now to have something that looks like that, a 5 years plan, because that would help you know what your 2025 should look like. Because if I plan to be in Canada in 5 years plan, there is something I should be doing by the end of 2025 to help me achieve that, which probably would be making sure I come out in flying colors with from my radiography studies. So how do I do that in 2025? You see, having a goal makes you start breaking these things down into year by year. Maybe by 2026 you would have graduated. So how do I now work towards getting to Canada? It would probably mean that I will now start reading to write my CAMRAT exams, start reading this. I should have written my exams by 2027. I should have started applying for jobs in 2027 so that by 2028, I'm out of here. So you have to break them down into monthly and quarterly tasks and use tools to track them. You always have to track. If you don't track, just like me that never tracked my GDP one time in school until the time they started calling first class students. I never tracked it one day. The only thing I knew was that I never failed a course. So, and I moved on with life. So it was at the time they were calling first class, I felt like, oh, I would have loved to have this. Bro, it's already late. So how do we measure these goals? For academic goals, I've already said you should track your grades, use your study plan, right? Dedicate weekly hours to your studying, seek feedbacks. Most times we do not understand some things, especially some topics that are hard, and we do not ask questions. We just keep it to ourselves, or we ask and then we stop at one person because the one person we asked was not able to give us feedback. Maybe the person was the best in you thought he was the best A student, and if the person could not explain it to you, there was no need asking any other person, which is wrong. You can even ask your lecturers. You can ask other persons. There are persons that might be not so much in my of an outspoken person, but when they explain things to you, it's better than when the lecturer explains it to you. Then practice self-assessment. Use past questions to test or your understand. Even if you don't have past questions, you should be able, after you've read, this is not something you should do 2 weeks after you've read a course. Immediately after you are done reading a topic, close your book. Before you say you have read, before you beat your chest and say that I've read this topic and I've understood it, close your book. Ask yourself questions from what you've read. do you think you will be able to answer those questions? Ask yourself questions and see if you can answer them. If you're not able to answer them, you've not done anything. The only thing you did was that you looked at a book for 1 hour and you closed it and you said you did anything. You did not achieve anything. Before you beat your chest and say that you've covered a note or a topic, you should be able to close your book, ask yourself questions from that topic, and be able to answer it without looking inside the book. So when you're not able to answer it, you know, oh, this one did not stick. So to tell your brain that this information is important, you now go back, open the book, check it, find the answer, close the book again, go over it again. What you are doing at that point is that you are cementing that thing to your brain that this is very important information. Your brain processes about 1 million billion informations in a day. When you're walking on the road, it is noticing the flowers, noticing the tree, noticing the road, noticing other students. Those are information that it's processing. At the end of the day, you do not remember all those things because the brain picks the one it thinks it is important and keeps them and discards the rest. So how do you make the brain know that this particular information is important? It's by going over it again and again. How did you learn how to sing the national anthem? Until today, it has not left your mind. It was by repetition. How did you learn ABCD? It was by repetition. How did you learn 1, 2, 3? It was by repetition. Every day in class, after the first time that you read it, your teacher said, oh yeah, close book. Oh yeah, in your head, 1, 2, 3, let's go. That was how you learned 1 times 1. These things are the basics, but then we grow up and we think you can't go back to the basics. You forget them, you throw them into the trash. But this is how you get your A's. There are no miracles anywhere. This is how you get your A's. Proactive repetition. It is not every time you come, okay, because I've read this, let me open it again and go through it and read it. And that is not how you get your A's. Active repetition. You are actively involved in the process. Not the one that you read today, then you come back the next day, you open it and you're looking at it again. Why are you looking at it? You've read it before. Oh, Benny, close the book first. Before you open it, ask yourself, can I even remember what I read? Before you read another new thing, close the book and ask yourself, the one I read yesterday, do I even remember it? And if you don't, go back and read it again. It doesn't matter whether you have a lot to cover. What's the need if you cover everything and then you can't remember anything? It makes no sense. So it is better that the ones that you read, you are able to remember them, compared that you read 20 times and then you can't even remember anything at all. So this is just business. This is one thing you should go if you are going away from this meeting after now. This is something you should hold on to. So how do you measure clinical goals, right? It's simple. We already have logbooks. Those logbooks are not for fancy. You know, most times we, as radiographers, then we really do not take logbooks seriously. We just fill it at the end of the clinical posting. You collect your neighbor's phone and fill anything, fill all of them, put whatever dates, yada, 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 submit, finish. So that is why when you now go for your Viva exams and you are asked, okay, young man, how do you position for a chest X-ray? PA, you don't know. And the tools you use in doing an HSG, you've forgotten it. Oh, I knew it too. I can't really remember. It is because your logbook, you are just passively filling it. You are not asking yourself questions. And how do you can't do that when you have a lot of backlogs trying to fill your logbook. How do you do that? At the end of the day, I know that there's there are no other courses that day. Maybe even if there are just one. The person that came for chest X-ray today had pulmonary embolism or had pneumonia. Okay, so what are the clinical symptoms that you see, and you know that it's not in your scope, though, as a radiographer, but then that is what sets you apart from every other person, because now you are more valuable to the radiologist than to any other than radiographers. You are now playing on the radiologist's field because a doctor that has sent someone for a chest X-ray, and you are looking at this person's chest, and you're noticing that this person, it looks like this person has pleural effusion. You obviously know that at least you have to do a lateral for this person, or you're noticing there's a mass on the chest because of what you've read, because of how you've gone on these things. It makes it simple for you to call the doctor and say, Doc, I'm seeing this thing. I feel we need to do a lateral chest X-ray. I feel we need to do this or that thing to be able to visualize it. And just those small suggestions as a radiographer sets you apart from the rest, because the rest is, they say I should do PA, you do PA. They say I should do lateral, you do lateral. Right. So set as a student, you have to set procedure targets. Of course, our law makes it easier for us and say it's by telling us that you should be able to do 20 chest X-rays by the time you're done, or assist by the time you're done with this thing. Follow it up. If you follow it up like that, you will see that by the time you're done with your X-rays. See, there are different kind of radiographers when you go for your clinical procedure. The ones that don't even talk at all, whether you keep, whether you read or you don't read, it doesn't bother them. So you are responsible for your own experiences. You should want to go and ask questions. That's where getting supervisors that comes into play. You should be the one to open your mouth and say, Chief, this thing that you did, why did you do it? Why did you do the HSG this way? Why did you use this sandbag? Why did you do this one? What's the factor? Why are we using this factor? Why are we having high KV and MAS? Ask. Some people, sometimes they don't even know. So you really want to ask. Then the person will say, the person will now read it and give you assignments, or you're going to read it. Tomorrow we'll discuss it. It is still for your own benefits, actually. So self-reflect after each day, ask what you've learned. Right. So how do you maximize your clinical postings? By being proactive. I've already talked about it. Volunteer for tasks. Right. Wait. Okay. Volunteer for tasks. Is it 30 minutes now from the time I started? Then just send me a DM. Okay. Volunteer for tasks. Ask questions to clarify doubts. Observe and learn. Right. Practice and repeat. So you have to participate. When a radiographer sees that you are interested in learning something, if it's someone that does not hoard information or whatever, the person would easily teach you. If you are disturbing someone about learning something, even if they say clinical students, they are not allowed in CTO, you should not touch anything, but your chief is seeing your interest in this kind of, they might not allow you to touch the machine, but they will be willing to teach you when you ask questions. They will be very willing. The universe is on your side, right? So build relationships. These are the times you network with peers and professionals. I believe that all of us here, you should have at least 10, in short, you should have contacts of your senior colleagues more than you even have of your classmates. Well, by nature, you already have the contacts of your classmates, but then you have to consciously try to have the contacts of your senior colleagues, even while they are in school. That's when you grow rapport, because when they graduate and they are working in different places, they'll still be the ones that you would meet when you are doing your internship, when you are doing your clinical posting, when you are doing even the ones that are a year ahead of you. Those are the ones you'll be still calling chiefs when you go to when you graduate and you get a job or you start your internship. So build rapport, because they might be the ones to call you and say, Alpha, where I'm working, we are looking for intern. internship. Have you gotten your internship? Those are the ways you open paths for yourself. Yeah, those are the ways that when they say, okay, we're on Cyrus, where do I go? I really want to learn CT and MRI. Oh, I have this senior colleague that works in a place that they do MRI and CT. And you pick up your phone and you call them, and it's easy access compared to someone that they do not have any relationship with, right? So stay curious, take initiatives, leverage resources. There are online resources everywhere. And I'm the chief of that. If you come to my team and say, Chief, I need materials, say no more. Now you go retire. Anything you want, I will just be bombarding you with it. Right. So areas to focus on when it comes to clinicals, we're talking of positioning skills, equipment handling, patient communication, safety protocols. I'll be proud, and I'm proud to say that all the persons that have done clinical postings with me, right, or internship or whatsoever, by the time they are done, these 4 things are things that they always go home with. Even at the 300 level, as a 200 level, as a 400 level, by the time you are done staying with me in my radiology department, you'll be able to know how to position, you'll be able to handle equipment, you'll be able to communicate with patients. It's not the one that they will say, go and tell the patient how to do that we're about to do an HLG. Explain to the patient what the procedure entails. You say, oh, Chief, I don't know. You go home that day, you go and read it, then come back the next day. As you come back the next day, the next HLG patient, you are going in to go and tell the person what HLG entails. And as if you can't go home, if you like to be going home, go home. It not be me. It's not me that it's going to affect. You might feel that you're having your free time to go home. It doesn't concern me. You feel that you're assisting me to do without you, I was already doing the radiography work. So you are not that came to learn. And if you do not want to learn, there's no need you being around, go home. Right? And then that's where you start making corrections of maybe you told a patient something that you're not supposed to communicate. That's where you get corrected. This is not how you respond to these things. This is how you do it. Safety protocols, this is how you do it. When you get involved, it makes things easier, right? So here I'm just telling you, I'm giving you tools that you can use to make these things work, right? You have Notion. You have, oh, okay, I thought CSO talked about this, but no, she did not. But these are apps that you can actually leverage on to help you get the best out of what you're working on, right? There are lots of apps that if you come to me and ask me, which app do you use for this? Which app do you use for active recall? Which app do you use to go through past questions? What do you use? There are lots of them. We are the ones that do not research. We do not do good research because there are things. And a student is not someone that does a lot of manual things. You are supposed to leverage on things around you. That's how it's easier for you. And people are asking, how do you do it? How do you do it? Where is the magic? But then you are just leveraging on the things that are there. Finish. There is nothing special about these things, though. It's just you being intentional about it. And if you're intentional, somehow, some way, things, you start seeing materials, you start seeing things, tools are going to help you achieve whatever you're going to do. If you say that you want to have at least take at least 50 online courses related to radiography before you graduate, you start asking questions, how do I get these things online? And people will start giving it to you. There is Radiopedia, there is ASROT, there is a lot of platforms. It is you that is not. So the common challenge is why I round up. Jane says my time is already 30 minutes. So I'm just going to fly now. So common challenges that you would have when it comes to planning your goals is starting big, which understandable. We all want to dream big, but you have to start small, right? You start small and you build up to that. Then you seek help and always revisit your goals. You don't just write a goal, cover it and keep the book. Keep it where you can always go through it, look at it on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and review it. Last year, I will tell you, just like I told you I started being intentional when I graduated. I started writing my goals down. One of the problems I had last year was that I didn't review my goals well enough. And then a number of things I planned to do last year, I was not able to achieve them, right? Because I didn't review the goals as often as I could, and I forgot even some of the things I said I wanted to do. It was when I was going through them at the end of the year and trying to set the goal for 2025. That was when I realized, oh, I actually said I wanted to travel to take like 3 vacations this year, and I took one. Oh, I didn't even remember I set that kind of goal. So those are the things. But if you're able to revisit them, it helps to make life easy, right? For clinical goals, right? One of the things that might be a challenge is fear of making mistakes. But my brother, you have to make mistakes to learn. The only thing is always know your boundaries and always ask questions before doing things. If you are always asking questions, the number of mistakes you would make would be small, right? And then listen to your chief. There is a reason they are your chiefs. Right? I had this cyber student one time that was braggadocious, right? Probably he had good theory, but then he did not have holistic ideas about some of the things that he would say. So that sometimes he would be arguing a topic, and I would tell him, bro, calm down. This thing you're saying, it is right, but it is not fully, it is not the whole truth when you bring it to light. And by the time we are done discussing, he finds out that he's wrong. But then before then, he has already bragged about knowing the whole thing. So anyways, moving on, we have limited opportunities. So when it comes to maybe where you do your clinical processing and stuff, you would leveraging on your network and stuff helps you in this place where it comes to limited opportunities. And then lack of feedback. Sometimes your chief tells you to do something, you don't do it, and you think he forgot. He did not forget. I'm using myself for an example because when I was a student, I would think that my chiefs forgot. But now that I'm a chief, I realize that they actually did not forget. They just let it be because, well, you didn't talk about it. I've told you to read it, and because you didn't read it, well, I'm not going to talk about it until you bring it up. So that's basically that. Then moving on. So this is where I'm going to end my class because I think I've said a lot already. I want you to you can use your phone and write down one smart goal that you want to achieve next year. One smart goal. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. I want you to do that. Write down one smart goal that you want to achieve next year, whether it be clinical or whether it be academic or even personal goal. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. Okay, you might not be so elaborate, but I would want you to write something down. Just something that you're thinking about. Okay, you can write more than one. As it's coming to you, let it flow. Then I think you should stop now. Try to make it a smart goal. Make it a smart goal. And if you are done, I want you to share with us. Someone should share with us in the comment section. Be bold enough to share with us. All right. The first person that is going to share with us, I would make sure that that goal is achieved because I'm going to follow up with you, and we both of us will make sure that that goal is achieved. The first person to post in the message session. At the end of 100 level, you do not want to have a carryover. Okay, second person, let's make it 3 persons now. Let's make it 3 persons. Clinton, I'm sure you're not going to have a carryover. You know why I'm sure? Because you've already written it down and it's just going to stick with you whatever you're doing while you're in 100 level. Any other person? Whoa, Joy! You want to? Okay. I thought it was for the whole for the whole section while you're in school. Okay, but you said 5.0 CGPA. That's bold, but that's doable. I don't know, but LinkedIn is one of my favorite places because there is this person, okay, not just one person, but there is this particular person that had 4.99 CGPA cumulative. I'm like, how do you do that? You mean to tell me you had A's throughout school, maybe and one B? Gen Z's they do like, and I've been on LinkedIn for a long time to see back to back. I've seen lots of first class in the last how many last 1 year that I've seen while I was in school. Like it be like water. Everybody's just drinking it up and down. And I'm wondering, it seems I have to go back and go and get my own first class. So because it looks so easy the way they do it these days. Prince Will, you want to learn and understand all the courses. I want to learn React and expand my knowledge on coding. All right, Prince, we are going to do this together. So after this, I want you guys to send me a DM and we'll see how we're going to make this work. All right, so my final words, right, to us is to dream big but act small every day, right? We are going to dream big, but we need to act small on a daily basis. When most of the conversations I've had with senior colleagues and junior colleagues, I've come to realize that it is not the dream that matters. It is the journey that gets you to the dream that is the big deal. So it is not just about talking about the CGPA and all those things. It is what we do on a daily basis. Do you wake up by 3 a.m. CSO? 3 a.m., 1 a.m. These ladies are awake. Well, I did not tell you guys, but CSO is we school in the same school. I hope that English is correct. But yes, and I could attest to the fact of whatever that she said. I didn't say that when she was reading by 3 a.m. of course, but then her result obviously would suggest and make it a fact that she did, right? And so set clear goals, be proactive and embrace your challenges. Remind that consistency and curiosity are your best tools. So the fact that you set that you're going to be reading every day and then you missed 1 day does not mean you should not continue on the goal. It is a journey. You are not a robot, you're a human being. Some days you're going to fall sick, but the fact that you have that goal set in front of you makes a whole lot different compared to when you do not have a goal at all. So thank you for making this very fun. I enjoyed. Okay, we have more people posting stuff. All right. I think it's because the things I'm seeing here is mind blowing. Prince Will. Okay, I have a guy in 411 private university. Clinton is saying us a story. He doesn't go to lectures often, but always have. Is this miracle? It's not a miracle. It's a technique, and I can teach you. It's not a miracle. I bet you, that guy probably has the course outline. He has the course outline. It's just like going to just like someone that goes for online, that takes online, what's it called? That school's online. the guy they read. The that those times that you are in class, that guy is dissecting a lot of things. I I would tell you, if I didn't go to one of the reasons I passed my anatomy classes was not because of the lectures. I'm telling you, when I go to the lectures, they are causing me headache because those lecturers are just reading what's in the textbook. And I want to understand anatomy, but then you are reading it, you are not explaining, you are not breaking it down. Some of them try, some of them we are the worst lecturers I've seen. What made me pass anatomy in school was YouTube. Just YouTube, not the lecture notes, nothing, not the lecture. Well, the lecture notes helped guide me how to write the exams because you have to give the lecturers how the subtopic by subtopic, how they give it to you, right? But then what made me understand the topic was going to YouTube, finding short videos, because if I watch long videos, by 30 minutes, I'm sleeping off. I'm telling you, it's a fact. But then when it's a short videos broken into, I could watch short videos for 1 hour, but make it one long video, I will sleep off in 30 minutes. But make it short videos, I could watch 5 minutes, short videos. By the time I'm looking at my timer, it's 1 hour. By then, I'm done. And I understand whatever topic I'm doing. I'm just telling you facts. It wasn't the lectures, it was YouTube that helped me pass. So that's just it. That person knows what works for him and he puts his mind to it and she's doing it. So yeah, I think we've come to the end of this, and I would want to connect with each and every between how many are we in this place? We are like 25, and I want to connect with 25 of us. If you send me a DM on WhatsApp, I'm gonna respond. Yeah, and if you're not a WhatsApp person, you're a LinkedIn person, you're an email person, we can be emailing every day. I like it. So yeah, so I want to connect with every one of us, and it's gonna be a pleasure doing that, helping you achieve your dreams. That is all what I'm about. Helping you. I've been through the phase, at least that's an experience I've had. So I'm gonna help you to the best of my knowledge so that you don't make the mistakes that I made and so that you be the best of what you get. So yeah, that's it. So stay inspired and keep pushing forward. Thank you for listening. Your questions can come in. I forgot to ask you to drop your questions, but yeah. So yes. Let my chief see one of my coaches here. She's in this meeting. Chief Nnemeka Ugu. Wow, he's one of the best radiographers I know anywhere in the world, whether white or black or brown. He's the best at what he does. Man is good. That's what I have to say. And he's in this meeting today. That's thank you, Chief, for coming around. And CSO, I would just want to say that you just did a very beautiful work with today's meeting. I enjoyed your time. So I'm handing over to Jane now because I feel like I'm now having too much fun. I'm forgetting the time. Thank you guys for being here.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for making our time to be here. I think we've been here since 10 minutes to 7, yes, and it's 9 p.m. and we are still here. That means we are having a great time. So thank you very much. I am so happy that today we got to learn from people that have walked the same paths that we are trying to walk, people that have done the things we are trying to do, people that know what they did that made them successful in that path. So thank you very much, everyone. Whether you got the link from LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you got the link from to attend. So thank you so much. So if you have any question, please just drop it in the chat box. Yes, just drop your questions so we can attend to them, and then we can go and start putting what we learned into practice. Okay, since we don't have any question, everybody understood. So I want to take out time to thank our speakers for being here to speak to us, for making out time out of their busy schedule to speak to us, and also sharing what they know. Not everyone who is successful, or not everyone who knows a particular thing, is always open to sharing how they did it. Not everyone that is making a certain amount of money, not everyone that did something well, not everyone that passed through school are always available to share with other people, but these two people are always available to share. That's why I every one of you for comment section with our LinkedIn, and please connect with them on LinkedIn. You're going to find you they are the same things they shared with me, and they are the that it's not something that I used to work when they were in school. It's something that is still working. The to-do list, how to prioritize the things you need to do. Like even today, I still make use of the to-do list and prioritizing my tasks. So when I wake up in the morning, I know these are the things I have to do in the morning. These are the things I'm doing in the afternoon. Then I examine things that are important and urgent, or you can use the reaction button. So please, let's thank them as we end today's session. Thank you very much. And in due time, if there is another session like this, I'll make sure that each and every one of us gets to access this session. Thank you so much. I'll try and get TC's slides so that I can share it with you people. It's very colorful. Someone said that in the comment section, and yes, I commend
You
you
did not ask
for
me
that. If
whether
Canva
they will pay for it.
mm, they will pay, don't worry, they know where to pay you. Mm,
I'm joking,
mm,
please.
yes, so they are. Mm, yes, that was on a lighter note. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye, ma. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you, Chief. Bye. Good night.
Bye
Good
bye.
night.
Good night.
Thank you very
Stop
much, sir.
recording.